my scholarship required that I schooled in 2 countries. That was another thing. It wasn't just one country, it was also to provide more exposure. So I needed to choose. Actually, we had 4 schools to choose from. It was Barcelona, Denmark, Finland, and Sweden, Uppsala in Sweden. So I chose Denmark and Finland. And so just because those were the ones that were offering the best opportunities for my course, I did food science and technology. So you need to have information. Some of these things that we're saying, people have heard it, and it begins to sound like you begin to sound like a broken record when you are saying it every time. Some people will be like, "Oh, we already know, have information. Check the internet." But that's it. Have information. You need to be familiar with where you want to go. You need to make Google your friend. Hello, Zeno. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much for accepting to do this and for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I mean, I've not gone live in a really long time, and I have 2 speaking engagements this month on on similar topics. So I'm like, what is going on in November?
You're hot cake now, don't you know? You're hot cake. Okay, so we'll just go right to it, guys. If you can share it on your stories or wherever you can share it so that other people can join us and they can learn. Dr. Atinuke is loaded and she's ready for us today. So, okay, so let's get started because of time. So please tell us about you, your educational background and your experiences.
So, again, thank you for having me. And my name is Atinuke, like you said. I don't know about Dr. Pat. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have the title. Sometimes it's just like, can we live a normal life without the doctor?
Yeah. You worked hard for it. I tell my son that when I finally become a doctor, you call me Dr. Mommy.
Yes, now. So then, when I was in school, when it was in the heat of everything, I would tell even my husband. I tell him to call me Dr. Babe or Dr. anything. But now it's like, okay, it's just there. So I'm Atinuke, like you said, and I'm from Lagos, Nigeria, like my state of origin. I grew up in Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria, and I'm here in Canada with you today. We're actually neighbors that I've not met.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's it basically about me and my life experiences. I mean, it's really long, so I would say, as we continue to talk about it, it will unfold because it's a long one for me.
Okay. So why did you decide to relocate?
Okay, why did I decide? I mean, see the situation in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it wasn't even this bad. It wasn't this bad when I decided to relocate, but it was more or less like I just wanted more from life than what the system could offer me at that time. I mean, a quick background. I attended University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and I finished with a first class, best graduating student in my college. I mean, like faculty and department, and you would think that life would just be so nice and it would be easy, and you just be getting all the things that you wish for.
Everywhere.
But that was not the case. So that was not the case, and for me, that was like a push. That was like something to say, you know what? I think the system has given you all that you can get from it at this point. So it's time for you to find something more, find something better, find something much more than the system can offer. So for me, that was like the starting point of, oh, maybe I should relocate. And it wasn't exactly, let me just relocate. It was more or less like, I would like to further my studies. Like, I would like to learn more from other people. Like, all of my professors here, I probably have already picked their brain enough. Let's go to other people. Like, let me pick the brains of other people. So for me, that was like the starting point. But then along the line, it just felt like, after this study, will I go back to this place that nobody knows what is happening tomorrow? So
Yes.
that was like,
And this is what I always tell people, that when you are a product of a failed system, it gets to a point where the system has offered you the maximum that they can give you, and there's nothing else for
uh,
you there. So if you want more, you have to leave. Yeah.
uh, I mean, I remember that time my dad used to say, you can't be better than the system that brought you up. But
Yes.
me, I kind of feel that maybe it wasn't 100% right, or maybe it was more or less like this particular system that brought you up. You cannot be better than it again. So to be better than it, you have to be out of this system.
Yeah. Yes. So we'll go on to the next question. Why did you decide to take the school route over worker immigration route? So there are other immigration routes. Why did you decide to go through school?
I mean, I still spoke to someone about it today. And for me, you have to, it comes to a point in your life that you have to be real with yourself and tell yourself, okay, this is life. What am I going to do? For me, I'm not Babalo, I'm not OBO. I'm telling you. So I had to like be like, okay, my parents have done their best. They have sent me to school. I mean, undergrad. I've also tried my best to, be the best that I could be. I think the only thing that I like that can help me to get to where I want to be is this education. So I needed to leverage on it. I felt like education is the only thing. I mean, how am I supposed to look for money to relocate? Even like that time, I didn't even know about PR, you know, I didn't even know any of those things. I just knew that for me to be out of this country, it had to be education. So I think it comes to a time in your life where you have to be real with yourself. I can't raise 10 million. I can't raise 200 million. I can't raise whatever million. I can't even raise 500,000. I mean, at this time that I'm talking about, I just finished from school and I mean, fresh graduate. I was doing my NYSC. We're collecting, I think then it was still 19,000. That was minimum wage, and that was what we're collecting. Where am I supposed to get the money? So I decided, or I realized earlier on, that education was my own leverage to reaching out to the world, like reaching out of my of the system that already grew me. You understand? So as soon as I realized that, I started to look for how to get out on that platform.
Okay, so guys, did you hear that education was something that she could leverage on? So really, you need to look at your own situation and check how can you get out of this place. She had to leverage on education, and education always sets people ahead. That's something that I tell people. If you are struggling, leverage on education. Okay, so you said that after you left Nigeria, your first stop was Denmark. Why Why did you choose Denmark over any other place at that time?
I did not choose it; it chose me. So I said that, and then starting out, I realized that whatever I wanted to do, it had to be education. So I wasn't looking for the best place to study, or like at that time it was more or less like whatever can get me out, I just go with it. And then when we get out, we figure out what's next. And again, even at that time, I wasn't planning to even stay abroad. It was more or less like, okay, let me see life from another perspective. Let me see life from another view. Like then, it wasn't, I won't say it wasn't common to Japa, but the level at which it is common now is on another level. So it was more or less like, where am I getting opportunities? It was more or less like, what am I getting? And you know the way it is. It's not the day you apply that you get it, and it's not the ones. I mean, I can't count the number of places I applied to. So it was the one that chose me. Denmark was the one that chose me. I said, we would like to have you. And I just generally went there.
Anyway is the way. That's what my worry people say. Anyway is the
I'm
way.
telling you. I'm telling you.
Oh wow. Okay. So this is the part that people want to hear. Guys, please, if you have any questions, you can start putting in your questions on the question mark. Don't put it in the comments. Click on the question mark. That's where we're going to be reading the questions from for today. So, how did you? Who told you about Denmark? And then, how did you fund your studies in Denmark? Because you had said that time you didn't even have 500K. So, how did you fund in Denmark?
So, who told me about Denmark? So, like I said, that I'd been looking for opportunities. I just graduated. I was doing my NYSC, and I was basically looking for opportunities. It was like my second job. Once I finished from my what's it called, my place of primary assignment, I will go back home and I'll be on the internet, looking for opportunities, applying. At this time, I was applying everywhere, like I said, especially Canada. I was applying to Canada because I just like Canada. It's chilled. They speak English. It's not US. It's, and it's not Europe, where most of the countries speak other languages. So I was majorly applying to schools in Canada. Excuse me, schools in Canada, and you would imagine I wasn't getting admission. I was being turned down, and I had a first class.
First
So
class.
I was pissed. Yes, I was pissed that what are these people looking for? I did not understand the rudiments of applying to Canada. And I guess that's one of the things you teach them on this page. So me, I was just
Yeah.
blowing application fee and blowing it. The little I had, I was blowing. So I kept applying, like I said. And, I had this friend that I would say that at that time was my mentor. It wasn't official, but it was more or less like it was a year ahead of me. It was a year ahead of me in school. It was like the best graduating student in his set. I mean, we were similar in so many ways. So he naturally became like my mentor, and he just told me about this Erasmus Mundus Food of Life scholarship. And at that time, let me say that was when the federal government of Nigeria launched this scholarship program for first class students. I don't know if you know about it. I applied for that one again and they turned me down. I was like, what kind of life is this? It was like as if they dashed me that first class. I'm like, this is the thing I want to use to leverage this world. I already told you there was no money. I was leveraging with what I had, which was that education, and which was that first class, and it was almost like where I already tried to put myself. I mean, the only reason I read so hard and prepared so hard was to be where, I mean, it's easy for when people look down, they quickly see you on top and say, okay, let's try this. So I just kept on applying, and it was like everybody was just turning me down. So this guy told me about that opportunity, and of course I applied. In fact, I applied with a mind that let's just do it. It was even, I think I submitted my application like on the last day. And it was this guy that was pushing me because of course I was already tired. Like I'd done tons of application and nothing was coming up, and I was already tired. And another thing at that time was that Zeno, when I applied for one scholarship or admission, I'll have told like 2, 3 people. Apply for another one, told like 3, 4, 5 people. Apply for it was, I just decided that, see, I mean, apart from the fact that you are disappointing not only yourself, you are disappointing all the people you have told.
So
I
yeah.
just felt it was time to just keep quiet. And so, two of the things that I learned from that process was, number one, the people you have around you can make or mar you. Like, if my friend didn't mention the opportunity, like people that have tagged their friends on Zeno's page before, they are the kind of friends you want to have around. If my friends didn't tell me about that opportunity, and if I eventually did not just, let's just keep short and do this thing and even see. Because it was like as if the more I was telling one person that, oh, I'm trying to do this thing, the more it was just not working. So I'm telling you, it was, and it's not like I was, it's not like, so let's remove this. It's not like anybody's a witch or anything.
Yeah.
It's just that sometimes when information goes out, like, I don't know, it's even difficult to contain. It's easier to get a rejected offer and know that, oh, I'm the only one that knows about it, and
Yeah.
move on. By the time you tell people and then they start checking up with you, oh, has that thing come through? Has that thing come through? That thing, as in that questioning and following up self, can make you even start losing confidence in yourself and be like, every time you're always saying it's not working, it's not working. Are you sure you're okay like this? So it was those two things for me. And so when that my friend told me, it was not just a friend that told me and left me. It was a friend that told me and pushed me, until I applied, because he was also on that program. He also got that scholarship. So he knew that I could do it. So he just kept on encouraging me. I put in for it. I did it. And I luckily got it. And I was the only Nigerian in that year that got it. And
Wow.
yeah, I think there was one Ghanaian, and we're the only Africans that got it in that year. And the funny thing was, our set was the last set of students they took for that scholarship.
Exactly. So this is why I tell people that take action now. So people say I'll do it next year. Did you hear? A set was the last set. After her, they closed it.
I mean, I could have said honestly because, like I said, I applied like on the last day, so I could have said, let me wait till next year. But as soon as we started, they started telling us, oh, that they are not getting any more funding, and so they will stop the program. So even all the people that me I could tell and say, apply for this thing, no, they couldn't get it because there was no more money for funding.
Exactly. So because these things change, right? So if you it's the best time for you to get an opportunity is now. Don't wait till the next time. Don't wait till tomorrow because you don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's something that you said that also struck me, understanding the rudiments of securing a scholarship. A lot of people just think that, I have good grades. And then they'll carry their first class and hang it on their shoulder. And they'll be like, okay, this first class is going to open all the doors for me. There is more to this than just your grades.
I mean, and some people don't have first class and think that because I have a second class or I have a tutu, I can't get a scholarship.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's what I tell them, that you need to focus on these non-transcript documents. When I applied for NSEC, I said that I believe I was going to get it because I knew that my CGPA was only a part of it. They said if you don't have 90% and above, you can apply, but you're just wasting your time. My GPA was 83%. And when I applied, I already told myself that this scholarship, I'm going to get it. So I focused on every other part and I exaggerated it and I sold it. And out of how many people they gave this is a global, a Canada-wide scholarship. I was
No, NSEC, you are a big woman, no.
I got to where you just tell them that I have a scholarship. Respect.
Yes, so I only know 2 people that have ever gotten NSEC, you and one other person. As in, NSEC is a big one.
When I was doing my comprehensive exam, this opening statement, my supervisor was like, yeah, this is, she has NSEC scholarship and all that. All the committee, everybody just begin to respect that. For you to have NSEC scholarship, you are up here. But really, I just focused on the things that I had and left what I did not have because I can't change what my GPA is. Anyway, so let's go on. So after your masters, why did you leave Denmark?
Okay, so my master's it wasn't only in Denmark. So like I said that I just wanted to leverage on education and I wasn't particular about the country. So when I got to Denmark, I saw the place, I saw the people, I heard the lifestyle. Of course, they don't speak English. English is not their first language. It's Danish. And I met Nigerians. I even attended a Nigerian church. So I blended to an extent and it was nice. But my scholarship required that I schooled in 2 countries. That was another thing. It wasn't just one country, it was also to provide more exposure. So I needed to choose. Actually, we had 4 schools to choose from. It was Barcelona, Denmark, Finland, and Sweden, Uppsala in Sweden. So I chose Denmark and Finland. And so just because those are the ones that were offering the best opportunities for my course, I did food science and technology. So after 1 year in Denmark, it was mandatory that I had to move out of Denmark to Finland, which was the second school I had to go to. So this scholarship gave me a double master's degree. So now I have 2 master's degrees. And yeah, the money was juicy.
Oh, wow.
It was juicy. So I needed to move to Finland. So when I got to Finland, I feel like Finland and Denmark are kind of similar. Of course, their first language is also not English. And what else? Their way of life. I mean, Europeans, they are so different from Americans. And the main reason I left Europe was because it wasn't representing the kind of life I wanted to have. When I decided I was going to be staying back outside of the country, it wasn't representing the kind of lifestyle I wanted to have. I mean, it's not like North America. North America, I feel like anybody can make it big in North America. But Europe is, or especially not England, not UK. All the other European countries can be quite limiting when it comes to immigrants. They are not as open to immigrants as the North America. You understand? So that was what I noticed. Because, I mean, then we couldn't even get credit cards. Hello, we couldn't get credit cards. Even to open bank accounts, we had to go with our scholarship letter. Like, yeah, there had to be like a letter of authorization to say this person is authorized to open this bank account and they have this money. So I feel like it's a really closed society. Now, I'm not saying this to, sorry, to discourage anybody, but my point is that for me, Europe was like a leveling ground. It was like the ground to bring me out. But then I quickly saw that it wasn't the ground for me to stay on. You understand? I saw that because going to Europe now gave me other opportunities. I mean, the same Canadian admission I'd been applying for and I wasn't getting. When I got to Europe, I did it because it was more or less like from a place of anger. I did it again, and then I got into Canada. I got an admission in Canada. Yeah, it was like from a place of anger. I'm like, how would this Canada be denying me every time? Like, I'm going to do this thing again. So, so I feel like my supervisor would probably not have even read my mail if I did not. I had to send emails from my school email. So
Yeah.
it had to be something at Helsinki, something at helsinki.com, at uofhelsinki.com. So I feel like it was something that made them to see that, okay, for this girl to have gone to Denmark, to have gone to Finland. I also went to Germany. I went to Germany for like a short internship for like 2 months. So, all of that scholarship kind of just opened my way. It just made me that person that, it was something that my own supervisor considered. I mean, my eventual PhD supervisor in Canada. It was something she considered, like, for you to have gotten this scholarship, for you to have been able to visit these countries, then there must be something about you. You understand? So for me, I see that I feel like Europe was my leveling ground. Like I said, I just wanted to go anywhere. It was whoever wanted to accept me. And then now, because again, like applying for my study permit from Finland took me, I mean, the Canadian study permit took me like 3 weeks, of which if I had to apply from Nigeria, we know now. So I feel like
Yeah.
everything about the old journey was more or less like Europe was like that place that gave me leverage for every other thing.
Yeah, and I know a few people too that have gone from Nigeria to Europe before coming to Canada. I find that when you are doing anything outside of Nigeria, it automatically becomes 100 times easier.
I
So
tell you,
everything is
I
faster.
tell you,
Yeah.
as in you can be using the same document, so but
Yes.
they kind of feel like it's more legit.
Yes. Because there's somebody I told, like, when all people that say that, I've been trying to go to Canada for 2 years, it's not working. I tell them, try Europe. Even if Canada is your final destination, you can come in through Europe because it works faster and better.
Yeah,
Okay, so you've already talked about how you moved to Canada in this one that you came in as a PhD, right?
yeah,
Yeah, okay, so you answered that. That was going to be the next question, but you already talked about it. So, how were you able to secure funding in Canada? Was it full funding or partial funding? I look down because I have my tablet there. That's why I'm reading the
yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
So, was
okay.
it
So I have to say that at this point, like when you decide what you want in life, there are some things you're going to overlook. Now, the truth is, Europe is a richer place. Of course, Europe is a continent, but European countries are kind of richer than Canada. You can't just like you cannot. Canada is just one country, but then my scholarship was by the European Union, so it was like all of them coming together to give me that very juicy scholarship. So, so Europe is like very rich, and normally a student that gets a scholarship in Europe would most likely be richer than Canada. But I had to decide what was more important for me. I had to decide what was like my like how did I want to look like in 2 years time, in 3 years time. So I had the opportunity to apply for scholarships in Europe or PhD admission in Europe. It's even better. I mean, you are not a student when you are doing PhD, sort of. You are more or less like a working class person. So they pay you really, really well. It's really just, especially if you land your PhD admission with a company. You as in it's life. It's like you are made. But I had to sit down and say, okay, between money and stability, what's more important for me?
priorities? Yeah.
I had to. It was like I had to choose one. So because stability was more important for me than money, I took Canada because, of course, Canada is the one that is welcoming everybody, and anybody that misses it now, I don't know where they are
Yeah.
looking at. Canada is welcoming to everybody and is like open hands and all of that. So I decided to, pursue a PhD in Canada, even though I wasn't going to get as much money as I would have if I was in Europe. So at that time, I didn't get. I wouldn't say my scholarship was full. I wouldn't say it was full. Because it was maybe just enough to pay tuition, but it wasn't enough for living expense. But again, that was on my own supervisor. My supervisor is that kind of person that, although she had so much money, she wanted to maximize it and get as many students as possible. She could have paid more, but at that time the money didn't matter. I had saved up from my masters. Like I told you, they were paying mad money then. They were paying money for us to travel back to our country once a year, as in mad money at that time. So I had saved up so much money. When I came to Canada, it was like I wasn't like the girl that didn't have 500,000. It was
This
better. It was a better
girl,
situation.
this
And
girl.
also, I'm telling you, and also I also had a foresight. I had a plan. I knew that when I'm in Canada, I will not be an international student forever. It was one of my plans. I wasn't going to be an international student for 4 years. It was important. So when I came in, I was armed with like my plans, and I just started living out the life. And 2 years into my PhD, I got my PR.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and that one just makes things easier automatically. So yeah,
There's
I
how
can go on and on.
when you have a plan. So people, you can hear her. She said that she had a plan. So two things you take from what she just said. First of all, she prioritized. You need to set your priorities right. What is most important to you? Are you going to choose money or you're going to choose stability? Then secondly, she what was the second thing you said?
I don't know. I said a lot of things. I had a plan, yeah,
Yeah, I
and
said
then
when
I
you
chose
have
stability over money.
a plan, it's easy for you to execute, right? So she had a plan and she executed on the plan. And for her to be able to make a plan, she needed to seek knowledge. You need knowledge for you to be able to make a plan. Otherwise, you just be anywhere but left face. Somebody said this, you are jumping to that to the left. Somebody in the left said something, you are jumping to the right. You will not be able to achieve anything that way. Okay, I like this gist. And then so, while you were a student, did you have to work, take student loans, or how did you support yourself for the additional that you
I
needed?
personally I ate loans, so let's first take that one out. I did not take student loan at that time. It was um, it was more or less like I was also still applying. I mean, I had that scholarship from my advisor. It was more or less like a graduate research assistantship. I had graduate teaching assistantship for a couple of semesters, and I think in the beginning when I came to Canada, I was single. It was just me. So in like my first 2 semesters, I took some jobs outside of campus. I didn't have anything I was doing in my time apart from study to write my research proposal and prepare for my comprehensive. At that time, my professor didn't even let me start my lab work. It was more or less like, let's get your proposal ready. So me, once I leave school around 4 or 5, I'll go and do my night hustling. So that way, I was able to keep my savings. I was able to not deplete my scholarship, and I mean for my living expense. So I had that money that was coming in, in like trickles. At least there was something that was keeping me going, and it wasn't hurting me too much. It was less than 20 hours, and still on finding information. I started to find information about jobs on campus, and that was when I found out that I could be like an educational assistant for a student with disability, help them write their notes and get $25 per hour, $30 per hour for just writing their notes. So I took up that kind of role. I'm telling you, I took up that role. I was in chemistry class today, food clinical class tomorrow. I was just writing notes. Me that I hate to write. I hate to write, but I was writing notes.
If you write for $25 an hour, you will do it.
I'm telling you. So I did it for like maybe 1 semester or so, or 2 semesters. After a while, I was like, I'm not writing again. You people should leave me. Because I also had teaching assistantship going on. I was also taking extra, what's this job? Extra proctoring jobs for like school, Department of Disability Studies and all of that. I was taking proctoring jobs. Those ones could be done on the weekend. Those ones were like, I think they were like $40 per hour. I don't remember one
You
very something
really
like.
came out
So I was doing all
information.
those ones on the side. And you know the kind of proctoring where you can still you can bring your notes and be reading. No life in this space is not, you're not proctoring to come and arrest somebody or make them fail, because they said not many of them will even cheat or do anything. So yeah, it's a chilled kind of life. So I was doing that on the side. And I think by the time I got my PR, I kind of really stopped most of those things because there wasn't even really a need anymore.
Yeah, doors. When you get a PR, doors will just open up. All the doors open up. Yeah. Yeah, so even I, when I was doing my masters, people, because I wanted to do a PhD, so people were like, just convert to PhD, you save time. So instead of doing 6 years masters plus PhD, you can do 5 years or even 4 years and get your PhD. Again, priorities. I knew that I needed my master's degree certificate for me to use that to apply for PR, so that when I become a PhD student, I'll be a domestic student and not an international student. So
Sense.
I got the certificate and spent more time in school. Again, you need to prioritize. But if you don't have information, you cannot even set these priorities.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So let's talk about family now. You had already said that when you came to Canada, you were still single. So, but for those that may be interested in going to Denmark, are they able to move to Denmark with their families, like those that have spouses, kids?
So honestly, I don't know the situation now because like I left Denmark about 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh,
So I can't really talk about the situation now. But when I was there, it was difficult for people to bring in their family. And that was my own aspect of stability. I knew that I would not be single for life. I knew that I was going to start a family. So for me, I was looking to have a destination where it was possible to have a family
okay. Yeah.
easily. So I'm not saying it's difficult for. I'm not saying it's impossible to take a family to Europe, because definitely there are a couple of people that I met then that after of course I was there for just 1 year. After I left, they told me, oh, my wife has joined, my husband has joined, but I know that it took them donkey years. Some of them, they really couldn't bring their spouses as students. They had to finish school, get a residence permit, not even a permanent residence, work for a while, and then bring their family. Now, my point is, again, this thing that I'm saying is, I had to put that disclaimer out because it doesn't mean that it was impossible. It doesn't mean that nobody brought their families with them to school. Because there was also one other family that I met in Denmark. I met them there, so I really don't know their story. But at the time I met them, at the time I was in Denmark, the complete family was already in Denmark. So I don't remember now if the wife went with the husband. But one thing that I know is the people that I met there that were single and all that were married and had their families in Nigeria found it a bit difficult bringing them in at that time. So it took them a while. And you know, Canada is family oriented. Those were
That's
the things I looked at.
coming with
Canada
your
is family
body.
oriented. Yeah.
Yeah.
Canada already says you're coming to be a student. You can already bring your husband
Children.
on an open work permit, But in Europe, it's not that easy. Now,
Yeah.
when I say in Europe, not UK or England, because I know that UK is easy, but like in all those other non-English speaking places, it's not so easy. I mean, I have a friend that was in Belgium, and for a really long time, maybe he couldn't bring his family to Belgium. They had to find another route. So again, it's not, when we say these things, it does not mean that it's the situation always. There are always exceptions, and there's always also information. At that time, I wasn't looking to bring my spouse to Europe. I didn't even have any spouse at that time. So maybe if I was, I would have found the information.
Okay. Okay, so comparing, you were a student while you were in Europe and you came to Canada as a student. So comparing your experience in Denmark and Canada, what advice do you have for prospective students?
Ah, I think it's better to be okay. So it depends. Okay, let's go back. Don't let me just say, because I just wanted to say the way I feel. So depending on the situation you are in, do you have a scholarship or not? Are you hustling your way through? Those are like the two things I would say. If you're hustling your way through, I think it's probably easier to hustle your way through in Canada than Europe. Why? Because Canada, like I said, is still a bit more accommodating. You can get credit card in Canada. Those European countries I stayed in, credit card for where if you don't have your money, you cannot get anything. As in, even then, to get um an insurance, then like health insurance, I got it on a platter of gold because I had that scholarship. But the people that were hustling on their own that came, because Finland was offering free education up until a time. I think Denmark too used to offer free education. Germany, I believe, still currently offers free education. You just have to like show living expense. But Finland, Denmark, Sweden, some of these countries were offering free education up until the time that I was there in 2014. So there were some students that were there, even from Nigeria, that had heard about that free education in Finland. All they just needed to do was bring their living expense and they came. But I felt like they were still finding it difficult. Me, I was on scholarship, so I could see a difference between the kind of lives we were living, because they had to also their way. And in Finland or Denmark or some of these countries, we couldn't, like, students or immigrants really could not easily secure white collar jobs in a way. In Canada, I always say that Canada is a land of opportunities, and you can get any kind of job that you want if you can dream it.
Yeah.
You understand? If you can dream it, like, but in Europe, they would first give their native speakers there, because in fact one of the reasons they might not even give you this job is because you cannot speak their language. So it was more common to do all those also hard jobs in Europe. But in Canada, I believe as a student, you don't even necessarily have to do also hard jobs. You can get customer service jobs easily. And of course, someone that is doing customer service and someone that is doing hard labor, there's a difference. You understand? You won't be as tired. So I feel like when I look at it from that aspect, I would pick Canada over Europe. But when I look at it from the aspect that you might like you said, you have NSEC, but NSEC is not for everybody. NSEC is for selected few. But in Europe, you can get that kind of NSEC scholarship for many more people.
Okay.
You understand? But then you know that, of course, to land that kind of scholarship, you have to be. You see the way you have to package your application. You have to be well. You have to be standing well. So those are the things that when I look at it, I would say for me, student life in Canada is maybe nicer. I'm
Yeah.
maybe biased now, Sha, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with you because even some of my siblings schooled in Europe, and comparing my life to theirs in when they were schooling in Europe, I know that Canada is a lot easier. And somebody asked if you can bring your family. Yes, you can bring your family. Even while I was in school, I invited my mother to come for a while to help me babysit my son, even as an international student.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Canada gives you that support, and Canada too is like a land of immigrants. Almost everybody here is an immigrant, really. So there's no you can hustle the way everybody will hustle, and if you can hustle well, you find your way.
I mean, in Canada, as a student, you can buy a car, you
Yes,
can get credit card. See all these things I'm saying. In Europe, even as a non-student, an immigrant that is like a residence permit, the countries I lived in, it was hard for people to buy cars.
yeah, true. I got
As in,
in 4 months here because I couldn't be pushing stroller all over the place, and I was like, the winter, and how would I carry this my son? How would I go to daycare? So I just focused on it, save up some money. In 4 months, I bought one $3,000 car. That car saved me for 4 years.
you see, so those are some of the things that I think people need to consider.
Yeah,
Again, like I already told you, I kind of feel like if I never went to Europe, I probably not have landed in Canada. So again, it's more or less like having a plan and not being so about the now. It's about the future. I have a plan. I know where I'm going.
Yeah. What's the grand scheme of things? Look at the big picture. Have a plan. Okay. And so for those looking to secure admissions and scholarships outside of their home country, you have any words for them?
Ah, we have said it now. We have said like you need to honestly, how would I say? You need to have you need to find someone like Zeno, because the truth is the information is not sitting down on the internet waiting for you to come and catch it. It's like everywhere. It's in many different places. So if you find someone that has curated the information and put it together and made it a bit easier, you need to find that person and leverage on it. But it doesn't mean that you now find that person leveraging on it and be lazy again. I mean, it's not easy. Sorry, excuse me. This one that I said, oh, that I kept applying, I kept applying. It's easy to give up, you
Yeah.
know, when you're applying for these kind of things. But like again, like I said, have the big picture in mind. Know where you're going. Like, this is what I eventually want. It won't be easy. I never said a part of it. I went back to my undergrad university to start a master's degree in Nigeria then, because I was supposed to be given research assistantship role as the best graduating student in my department then. But for some reason, politics happened and they didn't give me. It was supposed to be an automatic role. They didn't give me. And for me, that was a push. In fact, that was the thing that it just broke the camel's back anyhow. It was like, what is all this in this country? Why is this country just any which way? Why is it like things just happen? Like, this is a long-standing rule. And then it gets to my turn. People just start doing it anyhow. So it was a push for me. And I didn't even care that I had done that master's for like almost 2 years. As soon as this opportunity came, I started all over again. I mean, sometimes when I'm looking at myself, I should have gotten, honestly, I should have gotten PhD maybe like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But it's okay because I
Yeah.
eventually have a year, and
Yeah.
that's all that matters. Because sometimes people see, for me then, that was a setback. That was something for me to have said, you know what, I'm just going to finish this master's and leave or something, or, get angry, drop everything and go. But being in that environment probably also helped me with trying to apply, because I knew that this is something I hate that I'm doing now. So when I'm at home or something, I'm looking into something that I would eventually like, something that will pay me in the future.
Yeah. And you have to be prepared for the opportunity too, because some people, when the
You
opportunity,
have to be
they are
prepared.
not they are not ready. They don't have what it takes. They have not been doing anything. Maybe they've just been sitting there idle. It's you need to be prepared and put in the work. Okay. So let's look at a few questions. As guys, I said put your question in the question mark. That's where we're going to be taking some questions from. Um, let me see. I don't even know what the first question is.
Someone is saying that Canada is not visible for them and that Europe is. And I'm just saying, like I said, I did not come straight from Nigeria to Canada. So whatever is visible right now or feasible, please just go for it
Yeah,
and still have a plan.
yeah. So Yinka09 says, is Poland a good country to relocate and work? It looks quite cheaper than other countries.
So I've been to Poland.
Okay.
I mean, so I holiday.
Bah,
That's another thing with Europe. You holiday a lot. I went to Norway. I went to Estonia. So I holidayed at least one week in some of those countries. So I've been to Poland. Poland is really cheap, but what is like? Why is this person concerned? It's cheap. Is that not a good? Is that not supposed to be a good thing? If
yeah.
it's not Nigeria, is good.
Okay, you
If
are
it's not Nigeria, it's good.
so true. Then Candy Best Kendo said, did you secure a supervisor before applying? Did you pay application fee or get a fee waiver?
That will be for Canada.
Yeah.
So yeah, in Canada, I this is something that I'm sure that Zeno must have been saying. Apart from those scholarship options that Zeno posts, apart from those scholarship people that advertise their scholarship, there are many opportunities that are not advertised. It's
Yeah.
more or less like you sometimes need to reach into the pocket of the supervisor to say, I'm here, oh, give me your money,
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
So I'm telling you, because that was what I did. I didn't even look for any advertised scholarship when I was coming to Canada. So for me, like for um, a master's program or a PhD program by research in Canada, you ideally need to find a supervisor. That's the first step. So after finding a supervisor, then is even the supervisor that will now tell you, oh yeah, go and apply for admission. By that time when they tell you go and apply for admission, you already have the admission because you put that the name of that supervisor there to say this is the person that has agreed to supervise me. All they just do is they confirm with the person that did you agree to supervise this person? Yes, I did. You get your admission. And that was the part that I was missing when I wanted to come and do my masters. I didn't realize that part. Me, I just kept applying. I applied to one school in Nova Scotia. I applied to
Ending
like
up.
a couple of schools. I didn't know that I needed to find a supervisor first. So it was from some of their feedback because I had to start asking, now why are you turning me down? Some of their feedback started to make me to see that you need to find a supervisor first in Canada.
Okay, yeah, you have mentioned another thing again. Asking for feedback. It's very important, and I find that a lot of people don't do that. You need to get feedback so that you can improve or do it better the next time.
Another thing is sometimes people just even do very generic stuff. You are
Yeah.
writing to like 5 or 6 supervisors in the same department and you're sending them the same exact email, the same exact proposal. These people talk.
Yes,
When I was a student, my supervisor, whenever Nigerians wrote her, she would tell me
exactly. They know.
that
Yeah. Same thing.
that there's a Nigerian student.
Yeah.
If she had asked for my opinion, maybe I would have said, "Oh, just give the person." But she wasn't asking. But she was telling me, "There's a Nigerian student in my inbox right now. There's this, there's that." I'm like, okay.
You see, yeah, they see the pattern. They know. Yeah. Wisdom Chikadri says, "Is it possible to get a FAMD scholarship in Canada?" Um, I
What
find
is family?
people make mistake, maybe like a pharmacy scholarship. So people make mistake when it comes to scholarship because they are looking for somebody to say, for you to get a scholarship, you have to have a bachelor's degree in pharmacy. So this is the mistake. Like some people say, I'm not seeing scholarship for economics, I'm not seeing scholarship for education. They may not necessarily state it that way. You need to find the programs that your background is suitable for. They may not state it there.
Another thing that I need to say at this point is that that Nigeria, like I don't like to always blame that place, but it has somehow made us to think that we have to go in a linear direction.
Yes.
So people that are in Nigeria, like people that have done their undergrad in Nigeria, may need to seek information from people that are a bit more exposed to see that this bachelor you have can still make you suitable for this program that is not linear.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's another thing, yeah.
Yeah, because people are looking for them to mention their specific course. So because they've not mentioned their specific course, they feel like, okay, I don't qualify. There's some programs that all you need is a bachelor's degree. That is all you need, a bachelor's degree. Let's see. So, did you do a PhD in science? How did you cope as a family person managing children and your program?
Yeah, my PhD was in science and coping. Like you said, you were able to get your mom to come in to help. I when I had my son, I was also able to get my mom to come in to help for a while. And of course, over time, you build a what's it called, support system around.
Yeah.
And I just personally did not want my son to go to daycare until he was 1. So the support system around me was able to help me. Of course, that first 1 year of after having my son was very stressful because that was when I did my comps. That was when I kind of had a breakthrough with my research, and it just felt like I knew the end from the beginning from that point. But yeah, I had help. I had people come in. My mother-in-law came, and these are some of the things that maybe might not be easy to get in Europe. I just need to put that in. It might not be very easy to get your folks to come in Europe as an international student. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it might not be easy. But with Canada, I mean, I feel like the level of ease is higher. So I got all of that help. And yes, it wasn't still easy even with the help because there were days that there was nobody to help me. and I had to stay back at home and I couldn't go to the lab or something. But here we are today. Nobody remembers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not always a straight road. It's bumpy. Yeah, there are bumps along the road. Sometimes you struggle. Sometimes you are doing okay. But at the end of the day, the only option you have is to cope or to find a way. Even with your family, you will definitely find a way
I'm telling you.
around it.
I'm
So
telling
and
you.
you'll be all right. Last, you. Everybody will be all right. You apply
Eventually.
your research. Everybody and everything will be all right. Informal Chinasa says I used to choose a research topic before reaching out to a supervisor. This is outside our scope for today, though. But informal,
So I'm just going to say something. Like, if you're coming to me to say, "Can you give me your money?" Does it not make sense for you to show me that I know what you're all about?
yes, exactly.
As
Yeah,
in, that's just it. Even if that research topic is not what you eventually do, because maybe it's not even so realistic. But I always tell people then, because that was one of the things I did, make a research proposal, even if it's not the most realistic thing. But let someone else read how you think.
yeah, because there are a lot of things that people take from your research proposal. It may not necessarily be that what you're proposing makes sense. It may not. Sometimes people are proposing things that have already been done because they've not even seen. They've not gone to do their research very well.
Research.
But even from the way they write, first of all, they see the way you write. The person sees, okay, this person can be able to communicate. They also see that, okay, even if this thing has been done, this person can transfer this her skill, the way she thinks, to do another project.
Definitely.
Yeah. So there's a lot to these things that meets the eyes. Okay. Um, can a husband and wife apply for scholarship together? What's your advice? Husband, PhD, wife, masters, and they have kids. Which country is best for them?
So when you apply for scholarship, nobody's asking if you're husbands and wife. I'll be husband and wife. As in, so I don't understand. Like, anybody can apply for scholarship together or separately or whatever. Although personally, I don't think two people should be in school at the same time.
Yeah, it doesn't make
But
sense.
I've seen it happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, eventually, towards the end of my program, my husband went back to school, but it was towards the end of my program.
Yeah.
So, like, and there's different levels of school, there's different levels of intensity. PhD is more intense than on undergraduate degree or something. So, it also comes to that. It also comes to mutual understanding and agreement. Anything is possible so far you are working together. So,
Yeah. Okay, guys. That's all the questions that we can take today because of time. You guys go and follow Dr. Atinuke so that when you finally come to Canada, you can buy wigs and slay.
that
If
one
this
is
people
side
attack
hustle.
your head, and your body will tell you. So you need to cover your hair. So when you finally come to Canada, you come to Canada and buy wigs so that you can slay. So go and follow her on her Instagram. You're going to say something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just saying that that's the side also.
Yeah.
That eventually you just, yeah,
That,
eventually you just find that something has to be the side also, or something, somewhere you want to push your energy. Yeah, that was where it was for me for PhD. Sometimes that PhD is just annoying and you don't even know what you're doing. You
yeah.
just come out and go somewhere else and do something that is totally unrelated to the PhD.
Yeah.
Just
To keep
push
your
out some energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, I want to thank you all for coming and for attending this show. And Dr. Atinuke, thank you so much for honoring us today and for
Thank you
taking it.
for having me. I
Come
mean,
on.
it's nice to talk about these things.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, yeah. You can come again. Maybe next time we can plan another time and focus on new subject areas and we can talk about it. Okay?
Sure.
Um, all right, guys. So take care and have a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you next time.